Hey, it's Brian Harris here at Cymbalic Drum Studio, getting ready to change heads for a project called Guns of November. It's a power metal project, and today I am changing not just the top heads, but also the bottom heads, because I've had these bottom heads on this kit since I bought it. And they are actually ambassadors on the bottom, which if you're a drummer and you know about drum heads, you know that ambassadors are a little bit thicker than what you'd want on the bottom. My opinion, of course. I'm sure there's plenty of drummers that use ambassadors on the bottom, but they're really more of a batter side head, you know. I like drum heads that are, for the bottom heads, that are paper thin. So what we're changing today are, you probably can't see it, Evans Resonant glass. Yeah, I never heard of Resonant glass before. I don't know where I heard about them, but they're discontinued. They don't, for whatever reason, they don't make them anymore. I found a guy in Italy that had some. He had exactly 10, 12, 14, 16, and I had to pay a little bit more in shipping, but since they're discontinued and the reviews were really good, I figured, well, let's go ahead and splurge a little bit and get these bottom heads just to see if these sound any different than my normal resonant heads on the bottom. So there we go. We're going to change those today, and we're going to, of course, do it in a fast manner, time lapse, so you don't have to sit through the whole entire half hour or whatever it takes me to do. All right, so here we go. Pretty cool little drill to have your drum key bit on. Great for changing heads pretty darn quick. Whenever you're changing heads, it's always a good idea to clean the shell, clean the rim. Dust and all kinds of shit gets caught up in there just from playing. Now, here's something I recently started doing. Is I'm using this to change the heads of any drum kit that I have. And what I do is I set the torque to 1, and then I go around and I still go across from each other, but I tighten everything using the torque. That way everything is exactly the same tension. You can only get so close to perfection with a drum key. So what I've been doing, I get it close. Once I get a little resistance, then I go ahead and tighten it all the way. No wrinkles. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear the difference between the toms the way they were with the original heads that are on here, changing the bottom heads. Then I'm going to hear how that sounds, and then I'm going to change the top heads, and then see how the fresh new top and bottom sound together. Always good to change heads with the drum nice and flat, because if you're having that angle, just the shift of that of the head and shift of the rim could, it could be off balance, it's not seated well on the bearing edge. So always good to go straight. Changing it here in a second. But let's get a sample of what these old ambassador heads on top sound like now with the glass, resonant glass. time to change the top heads. All right, so we're going to do the same thing to the top heads as we did to the bottom heads, using this little drill on the torque of 1. And I know everyone has their own way of, tuning heads. I've done it who knows how many different ways over the years. You hear of new ways, you try new ways, you're on your own. This is something that I decided to try after talking to another drummer friend. We got talking about how this is a great idea, and because it gets it nice and even. So I give props to him for coming up with the idea, and I was like, hey, I'm going to try that. And I've been doing that for a couple head changes. So anyways, this just gets a nice even tension across the head. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm not tightening it all the way down. I'm just getting it down close to where it's going to start creating tension. That way, when I get all of them done, then I can finger tighten them and then start working across from each other. And then what I do before I actually tighten it fully, I go around and just kind of give it a little zap of tension to kind of slowly increase the tension, and then I finish it off with going all the way down. Much easier to do it right here on a rock and sock than it is to try to balance a 14 on top of another 14. I don't know about you, but I like to have the logos at the top. It doesn't have to be perfectly lined up, but it needs to be at the top. I don't want one here and then one down here. My OCD will allow that. Plus, if you balance it on a rock and sock, you can just spin it. All right, so we've got them all changed, top and bottom. Let's hear how they sound together. Not exactly perfect on pitch, but pretty close to a scale. Bum, 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 bum. So now that you've got them evenly tensioned, is that a word? Tensioned, top and bottom. If you don't like the pitch of the head, if you think it's too high, then you can adjust as needed. If you don't think it's high enough, you can adjust as needed. But what's nice is you've got everything evenly an even tension around the whole entire shell, and it's just a matter of tweaking it with little bit by little bit. And if you pay attention to how much you turn your drum key on each tension rod, you can pretty much stay nice and even. So these might be a little too high for the project I'm doing, but I won't know until I do some sample recordings of the whole drum kit, and play it back and see what it sounds like. It could be right on the money. I don't know, but we'll find out soon. All right, now that you've heard how they sound, we're going to go to the most important drum on the drum kit, and that is the snare drum. I'm going to change that head. Now, I've been using these Evans EC reverse dots for a while, and they sound great. I decided to try an Ambassador coated for just something different. If I don't like it, I will put a new EC Reverse dot back on there. Crack that glue, baby. I think I like it. Sounds really good. I like my snare tight. I don't like that loose, fat sound. I like a nice, tight, poppy sound. So it cuts right through the music, you know, especially when you're doing fast stuff. You know, just my personal preference. I like it tight. Glue's still popping, so popping and cracking. But yeah, cool. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. I know it was real exciting watching somebody change drum heads, but hey, you know, if you learned something, or even if you didn't, if you watched it from the beginning to the end, you rock. Thanks. See you later.